Good evening, all, and welcome to the Mooresville Graded School District Board of Education business meeting, Tuesday, August 11th, 2026. At this time, I would like to have a moment of silence. Thank you. Before we begin tonight's meeting, I'd like to echo a message that Dr. Gardner shared with our staff at convocation as they prepared to welcome students back last week. He reminded us of the power of small, intentional acts of encouragement and challenged each of us to take the time each month to let someone know they are appreciated. As the new school year begins, I encourage all of us, whether we're educators, staff members, students, parents, or community members, to look for opportunities to encourage one another. A kind word, a note of thanks, or a simple expression of support can make a lasting difference in someone's day and sometimes in their life. Thank you to everyone who has worked so hard to prepare for a successful school year. Together, let's make this year marked not only by achievement, but also by encouragement, kindness, and connection. With that, Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. Approval of the agenda. I'll accept any sort of motion to approve the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda as published.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as published. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the minutes of the June 2nd, 2026, June 30th, 2026, and July 23rd, 2026 minutes. I'll accept a motion to approve.
So move.
I have a motion to approve those minutes of the 2nd,
Second?
the 30th of June, and the 23rd of July. I have a second.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Well, wow. We just started this one. I'll tell you when the next one's going to be. September 1st, 2026, we'll have our next stated meeting. With that, Dr. Gardner, staff reports.
Yes, sir. We will start with our report from Maximizing Opportunity and Achievement with Mr. Ribbick.
Good evening, Chairman Whitfield, Dr. Gardner, members of the board. Schools have begun the 2026-2027 school improvement planning process. Leadership teams attended professional development on June 3rd to launch the planning process, and our curriculum team has reviewed the initial plans and provided feedback. School teams have done an excellent job identifying their areas of need and outlining strategies for improvement. These plans will be shared with you on September 29th. On June 9th and 10th, our school leadership teams attended professional development focused on Robert Marzano's The New Art and Science of Teaching. The training emphasized strategies to increase student engagement, strengthen relationships, and make instruction more rigorous and relevant. It was an excellent 2 days of learning, and you will see many of these strategies reflected in our school improvement plans. We are excited to announce that the Spark Lab has officially opened in the Magnolia Building. This lab is designed to provide students with learning experiences aligned to their individual interests. Students have the opportunity to choose what, where, and how they learn by selecting from an extensive menu of on-demand and experiential learning opportunities. We invite you to visit the Spark Lab and see firsthand the innovative work and engaging learning experiences of our students. A focus area for our curriculum department this year is the implementation of kindergarten development play in our elementary schools. Rocky River Elementary will serve as our pilot school with its entire kindergarten team participating. Our kindergarten teachers attended a session with DPI on July 27th to learn how to begin implementing developmental play in their classrooms. We will continue professional learning throughout the year and will also visit schools that have already implemented this developmental play to observe best practices in action. We would love for you to visit and observe our classrooms once implementation is underway. We've had a great start to our school year. As I visited our schools, I have seen staff welcoming back our students and families. Students are excited to be back, and meaningful learning is already taking place in our classrooms. We appreciate the hard work of our school leaders and staff in making the start of the school year a smooth one and positive for everyone involved. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
I'm
Okay.
thrilled that we're starting the play.
So are we.
I'm disappointed that we can't do all 3 schools, but
Well, the other ones are participating as well, but Rocky's going to be the one to fully get us started. And then
Okay.
South and Parkview are having some of their teachers implement. But so we're very excited about how we'll spread. And we think this will be just wonderful first. We've already seen some of the classrooms I've already visited and seen it in action, and the students are loving it, and it's going to be good.
going back to what we knew.
That's right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have Dr. Albert, who is going to give the safe, happy, and healthy report. I believe Dr. Royal is going to save some of his remarks for the opening of school report.
Correct. Good evening, Dr. Gardner, Chairman Whitfield, members of the board. Throughout the summer, our Exceptional Children's Department completed student evaluations, developed IEPs, and hosted our second annual EC Staff Boot Camp, which was very well attended. During our opening EC staff meeting, a guest speaker from Exceptional Children's Assistance Center shared valuable insights on elevating IEP meetings from a parent's perspective. Schools opened last week serving 810 students with active IEPs. Additionally, 13 out-of-state transfer students are currently receiving support under comparable service plans while we determine North Carolina eligibility. With the support of our HR department, we onboarded 7 staff to work on our EC preschool and our EC school age programs this summer. And we also onboarded 2 school counselors and a social worker. And finally, staff from Children's Hope Alliance have already been scheduled and assigned to each school building to begin serving our students with their mental health needs. And that concludes my report.
Any questions? Thank you, ma'am.
All right, next up, we have our Recruit, Grow, Retain report with Ms. Kuna, Ms. Davis.
Good evening, Chairman Whitfield, members of the board, Dr. Gardner. This summer, as you know, the Human Resources Department spends a lot of time hiring and onboarding a new staff, and we kind of culminate in an immersive MGSD event where we invite staff to our new employee orientation, and this included teachers, custodians, and those folks that were hired post February of 2026. And over the course of those 2 days, they learned lots of information about our school district. They got to meet the executive leadership team, district directors, principals were also present, and assistant principals. Our wonderful teachers of the year came to speak on a panel, and some of our operations staff of the year, which was really powerful. I want to thank we had vendors from around the community who came to provide gifts and giveaways for our new staff. The employees always speak about how much they enjoy the community bus tour, so thank you to Dr. Marsh and Ms. Bender for leading that this year. It's always a good time. Special thanks to our transportation staff for making that happen. Our technology staff was there to make sure that all of our staff received their devices, or kind of troubleshooted to make sure that they were ready to go. And we had just a few Kings, but for the most part, we were excited that we were able to onboard over 73 at that event in a very productive way. And so our HR team led by Ms. Bussell, Ms. Tomlin, Mrs. Russell really helped pull that together kind of behind the scenes. And so very thankful for that. And finally, also thanks the staff at Mooresville Intermediate School always host, and they always do a tremendous job of making sure everything's ready to go. So they're great to work with. We also are happy to report that I had one person back out today, but I was going to be able to report that all of our core classes were filled. So we do have just a few positions that aren't filled, but we have good feelers out there, and I feel confident that we will get some quality staff in front of our students. And then later on this afternoon, or this evening, I'll tell you about some of the work we've been doing to support our beginning teachers and the plans that we have for that. And that concludes my portion. Any questions?
I'd just like to commend Ms. Bussell and everyone else who worked on the new employee orientation. And as someone who, as a beginning teacher, all you got were the keys. And those are the books you're going to be using over in the book room. And then even when I moved to districts, there was nothing. Again, the keys, no furniture, just keys. This is a phenomenal way to get folks acclimated, and they can start networking, and it's a phenomenal thing that you're doing, and I think it's important. So thank you.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Okay. Mr. Whitfield, Dr. Gardner, members of the board. So we have a state budget. It was signed into law on July 7th, which is the earliest budget adoption since 2018. So a few highlights of the budget. I'll just kind of go over very high level. So teachers and certified instructional support personnel will receive a step increase, with additional increases being added to each step. The total increase ranges from 3.8% to 18%, depending on the years of educator experience. The budget increases the base teacher salary, so 0 years of experience, to $48,000 annually. Last year it was $41,000. So that's quite an increase at the bottom of the range. Assistant principals will receive salary increases as outlined for teachers, since they are also tied to the teacher salary schedule. Principals will receive a 3% increase at all levels of the principal salary schedule. Non-certified and classified personnel and central office staff also receive a 3% increase. The state budget did include a bonus for most employees that is to be paid in October. Eligibility and the amount of the bonus will depend on many factors, and we're currently trying to work through all the technicalities of the legislation. It is extremely complicated. So we will make sure that additional information is communicated with staff at a later date regarding that one-time bonus. The employer matching retirement rate is now 26.1%, which is a 1.4% increase from last fiscal year. And the annual employer matching rate for health insurance is now $8,925 per employee, which is a $425 increase per employee from last fiscal year. Next month, we do plan to present a comprehensive budget to the board for approval, so we'll have more details then. And I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
Not a question, but I feel compelled to point out every time we see a raise, it is an average, and I hope that the people who may be viewing recognize that our more experienced teachers are the ones who are being left out of this process. And even my daughter-in-law was commenting, she has 10 years experience in national boards, and brand new teachers are just, I think, $2,000 or $3,000 less than her. So that puts it in perspective.
Yeah, the bottom of the schedule absolutely saw higher increases than the top. Yes, for sure.
Did you say that bonus in October is for all staff?
It is for most staff. So again, there are, it's not simple, as you could probably imagine, with our state legislators. So we're kind of combing through, there's if-thens, a lot of, you must be employed by this date if this, but this date if this. So yeah, we're trying to comb through all that, but most employees absolutely will receive a one-time bonus in October.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have Cultural Relationships with Ms. McLean.
Good evening, Chairman Whitfield, Dr. Gardner, and members of the board. Yesterday, we shared information about our annual back-to-school picnic in the park. This fun event will be held on August 20th from 5 to 7 p.m. We are expanding it this year to include several information tables from our different departments so parents can get assistance with everything from Parent Square to Infinite Campus is a big one, and just get those questions answered. While the parents are being assisted, children can enjoy many fun activities being offered by our CNI leads. Of course, our MGSD leadership team will be serving hot dogs and some sides, so please bring a blanket if you want that authentic picnic feel. We are excited to announce that we will be hosting a community longest table event with United Way, Iredell Health, and several other community partners. This event will take place on Sunday, September 27th at Mooresville High School, all along Blue Devil Boulevard. 3 years ago, we held our first one, and it was just phenomenal. We had a beautiful turnout. It was a beautiful day. And then 2 years ago, we had to pivot the week before due to Hurricane Helene. And the food that was originally going to be served there, we ended up shipping to Western Carolina to assist there. So this year, we're back, and our theme is going to be the power of we, because we honestly believe that we can make powerful change for a better community if we all work together.
And that is free.
And that is also free. And more information will be coming out in a week as far as signing up, being a volunteer, all of that good stuff. Invitations for our 18th Annual Education Foundation Golf Tournament have gone out. This event will be held on Friday, October 2nd, and is the primary fundraiser for our foundation. The foundation is vital to MGSD being able to assist both students and staff with funds for items such as new classroom setup, CTE competition registrations, and so much more. So if you or someone you know is interested in being a sponsor for this event, you can please reach out to me and I'll get you in touch with the foundation president and treasurer. And we just want to have another great event to raise money for our staff and students. I'm currently working on new pages on the website specific to communications and safety. In addition, I'm working with Parent Square and Smart Sites to update our site layout. So keep an eye out for those refreshes. I want to thank Xander's Bistro for their school supply collection. They delivered them last week, and it will be so helpful for our students. And we're very fortunate to have small businesses in our community that take care of our schools like they do. And then each September, we have to submit a report regarding the Parent Bill of Rights to the state and any findings that we had from the previous year. And I'm happy to report that ours has been submitted without any findings. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Questions? Thank you, ma'am.
All right, next up, we have Dr. Royal with our report on the opening of school.
All right, good evening, Mr. Whitfield, Dr. Gardner, members of the board. Tonight I bring to you, as Dr. Gardner mentioned, a report on the opening of school. So each of the operations departments has some data that we want to provide not only for you, but for our families as well. So first, from our before and after school program, we have 227 students who are signed up for before and after school care this year at our 5 sites. That enrollment is up from 175 students at this time last year. And another positive to report for before and after school, we are fully staffed in our BASP program. On to transportation. We are running a total of 36 buses of a possible 40 that we have in our fleet. As of right now, we have just under 3,300 students assigned in the morning. On average, for the first 5 days of school, we've had 1,858 who have been utilizing the bus transportation in the mornings. In the afternoons, we have almost 3,400 students assigned, and we have just over 2,200 students on average riding the bus in the afternoon. Our number one goal, as it always is with the transportation department, is to get our buses on time to and from school, as well as at the bus stops. We continue to tweak our stops and make adjustments. Things will get better and smoother as everyone gets into their routines. So again, we ask for patience as we get these routines and routes solidified. Approximately 4,643 families have already signed up for Here Comes the Bus, the app. We encourage parents and students to download that app so that they can track the buses in the mornings and afternoons. We have 2 full-time and 1 part-time driver that are in the process of receiving their CDLs, and they'll be ready to go within the next week or 2. We do have an issue still with cars passing our stop school buses. In the first 5 days of school, we had at least 8 stop arm violations. That is decreased from last year. And the reason I say at least 8, we had a couple come in this afternoon before we declare those as an actual violation. Mr. Farmer will have to review the tape on those. But again, we want to remind families, when you see the ambers come on, please stop. The red lights are coming on. So again, do pay attention to our school buses, especially that stop arm. We are continually and actively working with our law enforcement to be able to quickly and efficiently issue civil penalties to offenders. Again, please help us get the message out. When you see that stop arm, please stop. From school nutrition, we have served 3,465 breakfasts and 10,276 lunches during the first 4 days of school. On average, that's over 200 more meals this year compared to the start of school last year. We are processing approximately 100 applications daily for free and reduced meals. We encourage all families to fill out the free and reduced application if they think they'll qualify. And we are hiring some substitutes in school nutrition, but otherwise we are fully staffed in that department. For maintenance, from May 26th to August 5th, we had 348 maintenance requests and 60 preventative maintenance requests, of which 331 of the maintenance requests were completed. 12 are currently on hold waiting on parts or quotes, and 65 are still to be completed. Some of the major capital projects that we completed over the summer include Mooresville Middle School and South Elementary roof repairs. We're finishing these in the near future at both those sites. Not necessarily capital, but we have finally finished the athletic concession stand building at Mooresville Middle School, and that'll be open for fall sports just next week, actually. Additional display screens were installed at Mooresville Middle School and East Mooresville Intermediate. We replaced some tile flooring at South Elementary, and it'll also be done soon at Parkview Elementary. Exterior stair replacement at the Magnolia campus underneath the breezeway was completed this summer. We connected the upper A and lower A parking lots at Mooresville High School. We painted all the hallways on the 3rd floor of Mooresville High School. We have new outdoor seating for the Mooresville High School cafeteria has been ordered and should be here soon. We painted the parking lots at the campus of NF Woods. And we've signed with a new contractor for mowing, weeding, and groundwork on all of our campuses. From technology, we have the new staff deployment is ongoing. As Ms. Kuhn mentioned, technology was there at our new employee induction. Most new students' devices were deployed in the first 3 days of school. Technology support has already responded to over 200 tickets since the start of school and closed over 180 of them already. They've done really well at the start of the school year and worked really hard. It has truly been a team effort from all. And we do have one opening that will be searching for a vacancy there in the technology department at this time. And safety, Mooresville Graded hosted a staff training over the summer with the I Love You Guys Foundation that centered around emergency response protocols and reunification procedures. Mr. Babbitt offered trainings around these protocols for our school staffs as well to start the school year. Mooresville High School has changed their arrival and dismissal process this year to help ensure safety. Student drop-off and pickup now occurs on the Magnolia campus, and bus loading and unloading takes place on Blue Devil Boulevard. If you haven't seen it, there's a story on WSOC if you want to get a visual of what that looks like. Mooresville High School students will be receiving their student ID badges this week. They will be required to wear their student ID badge at all times while on campus this year, not only for a safety standpoint, also utilizing those in the school nutrition in the cafeteria as well. And then we'll be hopefully rolling that out to the lower grades as well. Additionally, Mooresville Graded is now requiring our staffs to conduct all of our safety drills within the first 20 days of the school year, in addition to throughout the year as required. These drills include a fire drill, which actually is mandated to be within the first 10 days of school and then once a month. Also, the first 20 days, we're going to do a tornado drill, lockdown drill, and bus evacuation drill as well. As another safety drill that will take place is with our EAPs, our emergency action plans in our athletic department. So our coaches have been briefed on those. Ms. Pierce has updated all of the EAPs. They are posted at all of our athletic facilities. And Ms. Pierce and the ADs will be working with each of the coaches to ensure that those drills take place with all of our athletic teams through each season. Speaking of athletics, fall sports have officially kicked off at Selma Burke Middle School, Mooresville Middle School, and Mooresville High School, with the exception of women's flag football at Mooresville High School, which can't start until August 31st. We are excited to have a new athletic director, Mr. Jay Martin, at Mooresville High School as well. All of our coaches and athletes are following the guidelines that have been set forth by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association during these warm afternoons to start the season. For example, the wet bulb temperature today was over 90 degrees, therefore it was code black, so we could have no outdoor activities. And even when we have code red, there's certain protocols that all of our coaches have to follow. So shout out to Ms. Pierce. She monitors our wet bulb temperature on a regular basis, and she also looks at our inclement weather to help guide our outdoor practices to ensure that our student athletes are safe. Again, so that concludes my report for the opening of school as well as athletics. Any questions at this time?
Questions?
How has the new route for high school been going so far?
Overall, like any start of the school year, it has a couple hiccups here and there, but I do believe yesterday it ran well. There was a little hiccup this morning, but once those routines are established and learned by the families, the buses on Blue Devil has worked out very well. Again, just trying to teach folks the new route, but overall it's gone well. And the goal, again, student safety is definitely accomplishing that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And it helps all the way around if parents will go ahead and get into whatever routine they plan to use for the rest of the year. You know, it's not unusual for folks, especially with the little ones, to want to bring them to school the first couple of days. But the sooner you put them on the bus, if they're going to be bus riders, the sooner everything gets into a routine, and we're all happy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
And I would say I'm really excited to hear about the IDs that the students are going to be using. Your welcome employers. We're giving our children soft skills, like talk about being able to bring an ID, right? Like you have to have a driver's license so you can bring your school ID now, and you can be responsible for that. But that's great. And also the athletics, it's been tough. And I want to say you can compete, though. I wanted to clarify that.
Correct.
You can compete when the wet bulb is off. It's whatever.
Yeah, the guidelines for the North Carolina High School Athletic Association for the wet bulb only apply to practices.
Practice only, yeah.
Right. And so with contests, obviously, we're still going to encourage consistent water breaks and keeping student safety in mind.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Doctor.
Yes, sir. Good evening, board members. We started off the year, as Chair Whitfield referenced, with our annual convocation celebration at the Performing Arts Center, where we had the chance to yet again see tons of school spirit on display. Special shout out to NF Woods for their victory in the annual spirit contest. I also would like to congratulate the following award winners that we recognized. Our beginning teacher of the year, Mr. Rhodes from Selma Burke Middle. Go Bears! I've learned to pause there. Our teacher of the year, Miss Courtney Clark from Rocky River Elementary. Our assistant principal of the year, Dr. Browning from Mooresville Middle. And our principal of the year, Miss Pratt Dixon from East Mooresville Intermediate. Want to say thank you as well to the Mooresville Foundation for Educational Excellence, because they provide a monetary gift for all of our of the year recipients, and of course Mooresville Ford for supplying our teacher of the year with a brand new Ford Bronco Sport. And again, as you heard through the reports today, we were able to accomplish a lot over the summer, from professional development for our staff to a lot of maintenance work. But it is always great to have our kids back in the building. So we're excited to have them back. And that concludes my comments for tonight.
Thank you, sir. Before I do board events or highlights, I would be remiss in not recognizing our special guest, Commissioner Carricker, who's in the back. And so I'd like to thank him for being in attendance tonight. Board events, you have a copy of those, I believe, and some of them have been touched on, but things are coming up fast, and it's an exciting time of year. We, as we said earlier, the next school board meeting is September the 1st at 6 p.m. We have a back to school community event at Liberty Park on August 20th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. We have a board visit to NF Woods on the 3rd of September at 9:30. And of course, I know the kids will be excited about no school on the 7th for Labor Day. Then we have our work session for the beginning of the year Board of Education work session. So that's our school improvement plans. That's September 29th at 9 a.m. And October 1st, that's a high school financial aid night. And then we have homecoming on the 2nd of October, which is always exciting. That day is actually going to be very busy because we also have the Mooresville Foundation for Excellence golf tournament as well. So we're going to have a busy next 7 or 8 weeks. And it's always busy, but it's going to be extremely busy this time of year. So please attend as often and to as many things as you can, and support our kids, our community, and our parents. With that, public comment, Kevin.
Mr. Whitfield, we do have one person signed up to speak, Monica Donaldson, so I'll ask her to come up. I know you've spoken before, so you know you get your 3 minutes. Ms. Neckemeyer is going to keep your time over there. You get 1 minute, and then you got to stop it.
Good evening, Dr. Gardner, Chairman Whitfield, members of the board. I'm here as a parent to just bring up some things that were new to me as a parent in the community about the crosswalk at the high school. When reading through the proposal, there were some things that didn't quite make sense. And to quote my grandmother, she used to say, common sense isn't always so common. When going through the actual times that students would be crossing the crosswalk, it looked like they were each in sections of 12-minute increments. So a total of 204 minutes throughout each school day that these arms would be coming down to allow the children to cross safely. The amount of time to have that area closed for the entire day is just 408 minutes. And so my thought, as someone who's been in many car rider lines starting at Rocky River, they would just have what I would call a sawhorse for areas that you were not allowed to drive through at that time. And when I look at the price tag of $500,000 versus a couple sawhorses with a chain that just says road closed from whatever the start of school is to the end of school, that seems so much more cost effective than $500,000 for this arm that, I mean, everything that's electronic is always going to have this risk of not working properly. And so I know one of the things that a lot of community members were concerned about was how will emergency vehicles get through, when these arms are down. And they were saying that they would have the ability to remote control, open and close them. Well, what if that doesn't work? Then you need to get to the emergency, so you would just need to drive through it. And so then what does that cost to repair it? But since I live with an actuary, I have to bring up a statistical fact. The emergency will more than likely be for the student getting hit by the driver not paying attention. So the main concern over money should be the lives of the children. And it just makes very simple sense in my mind, and I'm sure there's many intricacies that I'm just not aware of perhaps, but just having it closed during the school day, because they are the ones most likely to need the emergency vehicle. And I will just finish with, and I appreciate the few shout outs for the golf tournament on October 2nd. This is really important for our community. We definitely want to grow our foundation. We would love to have some new partners to help us continue to support our district. And so we just hope that everyone will mark their calendar, get on Parent Square, and sign up a team. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Gardner, items for information.
Yes, sir. We will start with our annual summer programs update with Dr. Wade and Ms. Conley.
Good evening, Chairman Whitfield, members of the board, Dr. Gardner. It's great to see you guys this evening. So we presented our summer programs to you earlier in the spring, but we just wanted to provide a little bit of an update about some of the great things and some of the great learning that was happening. So again, it's just an overview. We had summer testing opportunities that only applied to high school EOCs. Dr. Wade's going to share a little bit about that in just a couple of moments. We had our Read to Achieve camp, which is serving our second and third graders from all of our elementary schools. We had our Y Readers program, which also served our kindergarten and first grade students from our 3 elementary schools. We had our high school summer school, and then our jump start at our secondary schools. So starting with Y Readers again, so our Y Readers was our kindergarten through first grade, and it was held at Parkview. We served about, actually 110, which we were super excited. That was our goal, and that ended up being our enrollment. You can see in the last bullet as well, we had 16 students with perfect attendance, and I have to tell you, for a 6-week program, that is amazing. So we had really great attendance overall, but I think that speaks volumes for the program itself because the kids wanted to be there. It really, we had great teachers, a small class size. We had an average of about 15 students in those classes. They had a lot of the literacy activities in the morning and enrichment activities in the afternoon. There's a huge emphasis on also having these students read with their families at home. So you can see that we had 545 books read at home, which is a great thing that our kids need to continue having those parents read those books at home. So something really to celebrate. Additionally, we always do want to look at the summer data as well, because that is the reason the students are there, is to help with, retaining those skills that they've worked so hard on throughout the school year. So you can see that over half of our students either maintained or grew in some of the different DIBELS subtests. So we were really excited about that as well. A couple of pictures that we have. Again, they get to do in some different enrichment activities. They get to go on 3 field trips. They have multiple books that that the Y Readers provides. They get to go shopping, so it's like a book fair that they get to get all the books for free. So again, great opportunity for our kids. Then we host our Read to Achieve program, which is over at MIS. Again, thank you to MIS for allowing us to use our school, and Parkview to use their school for our summer programs, elementary. But Read to Achieve is a 5-week program. It serves our 2nd through 3rd grade students. Our enrollment was about 97, about 100, so pretty close to what we typically have, but a few less students. Our goal was really to have about 110. But you can see our class size was higher. We had 17 as an average class size in that one, but still great class size. We really focus on literacy during that camp as well. So part of the requirements from state is that we have 72 hours of literacy instruction. So all of our literacy instruction occurs in the morning. And then in the afternoon, our students get to participate in research, which they don't realize is still literacy skills. Their research and their writing, their reading, they're getting to do art crafts based on the different animals that they are researching and share. Again, you can see that we overall, as an average, our students grew 1 point. So any growth, an average of a growth is excited because really our goal is just that our students are maintaining those skills. So anytime we see growth, that's exciting. We also had 2 3rd graders. I'm going to be honest, I wish it was more, but we'll still celebrate those 2 that also met the Read to Achieve proficiency requirements through the Read to Achieve test for one of them, and the others was for the DIBELS Lexile. So they were able to have that good cause removed for them.
What was the distribution among the 2 programs between the 3 schools?
I would have to get that exactly to you, but very, very similar in distribution. For Y Readers specifically, we offer slots to each school. We basically divide the amount of enrollment up. We have always a wait list on there, and so sometimes depending on if one school doesn't have students on the wait list, we'll pull from the other. So it's not exactly the same, but very, very similar. But I can get that for you.
There's good representation across the 3.
There is, absolutely. And I missed not going backwards. There we go. So I wanted to share just a couple, again, of highlights. The kids have a great time, like I said. And I do want to point out that we also had, NC Ed come. Amy Ryan, she used to work for DPI, and now she writes and does article for the North Carolina Ed, published an article for Mooresville just specifically about our camp and highlighting how we don't just focus on the literacy, we're also focused on the whole child and allowing them to research and do those enrichment pieces. And it was a great time to host her and show the amazing things that our staff and students were doing at the program.
All right, we're going to start for the secondary portion. I want to mention, Ms. Conley mentioned that we did summer testing this year at the high school. That is due to a second opportunity for students. We did that for English 2. We are not able to share those results yet because we are still waiting on that, but you'll hear more about that at the SIP work session that is coming up. But that is because we do not get the English 2 scores back until after students have already left school. We do all of our other testing and retesting in the last 5 days. But just wanted to clarify what that was. It is not like it has been in years past where we brought in multiple groups of students. So we also had a big change this year in what is traditional summer school. One of the things that we have noticed over time in reporting to you and also in our own program evaluation is that many of our students were coming to summer school at the high school and recovering credits after just a few days or a few hours in some cases. And we really felt like we were not necessarily getting a full amount of learning to recover what those students had perhaps missed. That combined with a new state policy that requires us to give a numeric grade for graduation requirements and also requires the grading system to follow the same grading system as is used during the school year. And combined with the fact that we were using a fully online program with teachers in the room to support, but it was very heavy on screen time, we decided to make some changes this year to our entire summer school program and credit recovery process. So this year, there was no more online instruction. We used our own teachers in all 4 content areas, except for social studies. We did not have students interested in credit recovering for social studies and staff interested there. But for math and bio and English, as well as a few other random things here and there within those core content areas. Those teachers did live instruction just like they would do normally during the school year. Students came for 7 half days and everything was done either hands-on or on paper. Very, very limited screen pieces. If they were using screens, it was while they were practicing or applying while the teacher was working with another group of students. And I want to give a huge shout out to our staff who did work that summer program because they had multiple levels of students and multiple courses in the same room. So I'm providing direct instruction to these Math 1 students while these Math 3 students are practicing and applying. And so that's a lot. And there is a lot of expectation on that. And we weren't sure how that would go, but it went beautifully. On the second day, one of the teachers said to me when I was walking around, I think my kids have already learned more in these 2 days than they did all of summer last year. So overwhelmingly, the students who came and stuck it out said, I don't want to have to come to summer school anymore. Maybe I will work harder during the semester so that I don't have to come to summer school, which is exactly what we wanted. And our teachers felt strongly across the board that students were able to actually master enough learning that it was appropriate for what they did. The grading helped. They also had homework on paper that was not in general, something that could be AI-able. So for example, students who were in the English classes had Post-it notes and they had to do 10 or 15 annotations on a particular reading. And so those things are not easily AI-able. And then the teacher would start the next day with reviewing those. And so the students felt like there was a purpose for the work that they were doing at home. So all that to say that is something that we will continue and have seen a lot of positive results in changing that. You can see that we had 74 students who started, and we had about 48 who actually recovered that credit. So we did have some students who decided that this was not for them. They had gone ahead and planned their beach vacation, and when they found out they weren't going to be able to leave after the second day, said, well, I'm still going to the beach. So we are working through the implications for that on our master schedule as well, because we weren't able to recover as many credits over the summer. That means we have more of those students in full semester classes. And so we are working through that pain point as well. NF Woods maintain the same summer school process that they have been doing, which is a 5-week section. It is staggered, again, live instruction the whole time. And then they provide wraparound care in the morning and the afternoon that are based on those, in some cases, IEP skills or soft skills, job prep skills, things that are going to help our students transition. They handled almost all of our seniors, and then they also handle some of our students who are transitioning into the Woods program and need to get a little bit ahead over the summer so they can be on track to start with the rest of their cohort in the fall. And so you'll see that their number of credits is much higher, and that's because it's a 5-week program and we have a lot of students who are doing multiple sessions and multiple classes, which is not allowed at the...
And are those just the high school students at Woods?
Correct. We don't do a summer credit recovery for middle school because they aren't accruing credits. They are part, however, of our orientation piece. And so we believe really strongly at the secondary level that as students are moving from a smaller school in many cases and smaller teams, as they are coming to our bigger secondary schools, a lot of them are afraid maybe of what's going on. So we have orientations at 6th grade and 9th grade, as well as at Woods, that help our students get a chance to see the building before they come, to connect with peer leaders from grades above them who do a variety of team building activities, as well as leading them through a tour of the building, getting a chance to meet all of the administrators and the counselors beforehand so they know and have some familiar faces. And then those Link and Web leaders on day one wear special shirts so that they are easily identifiable for our students, and our students know that, hey, this is a safe person I can ask even if I don't know who this is. So these have been hugely successful for us. It's a huge undertaking. There is a little carrot that they get their schedules ahead of time, which does help with attendance. But special thanks to all of our administrators and the teacher leads at each of our teen schools for all of the extra work that they put in. And then Woods does, they meet with every family before they come in as well. And so they have a more personalized open house, but their numbers are a little bit, or orientation, but their numbers are a little bit smaller, and they go through all of the expectations for that campus. So we are very pleased that on average, 70 to 80% of our students are attending those orientations. And that concludes our report on the summer programming. Are there any further questions that we can answer for you?
I have a question about the Woods numbers. Is that higher than normal? Is that
It's about the same, but I can tell you that we had a significant number that were math this year because Woods has not had a full-time math teacher for several years, and there were spotty pieces. And so we had about 20 kids who all needed math 3. And so we brought in a team of teachers, Dr. Wilson, who's teaching in our middle school, and Mr. Simpson, who teaches at the high school. And we did a whole crew of them, and then they were still able to continue and do an additional class as well. So some of that is backlog of classes that hadn't been able to have been offered at Woods due to staffing previously. And some of that is the number of new students that we were bringing in and front loading some credits on for new to Woods students, but not new to high school students.
So some of those students were already at Woods and still weren't successful during the school year at Woods and still needed more summer recovery?
Typically, those are students who have had a lot of attendance issues.
Okay.
And because attendance is one of the largest barriers for the students at Woods, if they just haven't mastered enough of the content, they're not able to pass the class. And so we can bring them in a condensed time period. And instead of doing, 4 classes in a day, if I can be there for those days, I can get the class done because I'm focusing on just that class for those 7 or 8 hours. And I've got a teacher who is supporting me as well. We also have a lot of our EC and ML students who are able to recover more credits at a faster pace because, again, they have the smaller numbers and they're getting that personalized support with them the entire time.
And remind me again, the credit recovery piece, how does it translate into a grade? Is that
No, it's a numeric grade. We are no longer allowed to give Ps on a transcript for graduation requirements. And so we have to use the same grading system that we use in the school year, which is 60% formal and 40% informal. There has to be at least 4 grades in each category. The informal represents the practice and the progress of learning, and the formal are, like on Apex, will be our, like the unit tests or the skills checks. And so those grades are averaged together. We do have a policy currently that is similar to what many other districts are doing, that if you come through credit recovery, the highest you can score is a 60% because we've already greatly reduced the content. We are only supposed to remediate in credit recovery the materials that the students did not master, not the entire course. So if I've already learned how to do slope, I should not be sitting there doing slope again. We use a series of pre-tests that come either with Apex for the students at NF Woods, and at our main campus high school, we had our PLC teams work together on the most commonly missed items for those students from the check-ins. We don't get a whole lot of detail on the EOC or on the EOC breakdown. We only get the domains and very minimal information, and it's not by student. So we primarily relying on our PLCs to use their data analysis from out the year to determine what they're going to remediate.
Thank you.
And they now have a full-time math teacher.
They actually have two. We were able, Miss Peters had been there previously, and there is so many students who needed Math 1 that we just kept holding on the Math 3 and holding and holding and holding. And it got to the point where we have kids who needed to graduate. And so some of them were summer graduates and some of them were students who need to graduate by December. So Miss Ward was teaching there part-time last year and has been moved over there full-time. And so she and Miss Peters are working together to split it up. So we should be able to catch that up. In most cases, math is the hardest for the students to get because science only has 3 required credits, and most of our students at Woods are coming in with the world history credit, most likely, and then they can do the other 3, and those are very, I don't want to say easier, but it's more compressed, and there is less content that they have to memorize to be successful in those classes.
No, thank you all for this data. I think one of the biggest things that I heard too, positive comments in the community that, number one, we're still giving kids chances to graduate early in December, even if they come in behind. And then the second thing is just getting kids back on track. Personally, I had a mom reach out to me about, her son being a senior, being behind in credit, and the summer campus and summer school giving her son a chance to get back on track. So we never can underestimate the power of summer school. Of course, we want kids doing well throughout the school year, but these are vital resources as well. So thank you, the team, everybody, because I know everybody wants to be traveling at the beach, toes in sand and whatnot, but we still have kids that need. So thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
All right, good evening, board members. It's kind of interesting being on this side of the presentations, but we've had a lot of discussion about Magnolia Street and the safety of our students and the potential closure. So tonight I'll be giving an update as well as just information for the general public as far as where we've been, the discussions we've had to date, and some of our ongoing plans moving forward. Just want to start with some historical information, as I've received a lot of questions around how do we get to this point? Why do we have so many kids crossing the street? So I think it's important to kind of start with the why we are where we are. So as many of you know, the Magnolia Annex was previously Mooresville Middle School. So that was transitioned starting in 2009 as part of a renovation and expansion to Mooresville High School campus. It is no secret to anyone who lives in this town that the town of Mooresville is rapidly growing. So that was really done as an effort to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars. Of course, in a perfect world, you build a brand new high school for rapid enrollment growth, but that would, land and building cost in excess of $100 million. We have a building that was across the street. So again, that makes good financial sense, which is always a goal of ours, to use the facilities that we have and maximize our occupancy in those. I've heard questions or comments about a bridge. I did want to reference that during the most recent expansion, that was part of that work was the building of the Performing Arts Center. I do believe that was examined and considered. There were a lot of complications due to ADA compliance, as well as that is a very costly venture if that was something that we would go down the road to try to accomplish. That doesn't mean that it is impossible. I think anything is possible with the right dollar figure, but it would be a costly measure, and there would be a lot of complications to make sure we met ADA compliance.
When you say expansion, just for clarification, you're talking about the 2014 expansion at the high school and the PAC and all
Yes.
that.
Yes.
So we were considering looking
Yes.
into that at that time.
Absolutely, yes. I also want to discuss traffic study. So we started a traffic study in August 2023, which again, this has been discussed well beyond our most recent discussions. Discussions have really been ongoing for a decade plus. But in August 2023, we partnered with the town of Mooresville to conduct a traffic study. And I just want to point out a couple data points. It is concerning to me when I hear a lot of the narrative about if we could get our students to put away their cell phones or pay more attention, if the drivers would just be more cautious. one of the things that you really have to consider is the data as far as the volume of crossings. So you have, and this was a day and time, so it's, that's going to fluctuate depending on the day, but you have close to 5,000 unique student crossings during the school day. When you really just stop and consider the opportunity for something tragic to happen at that volume of students crossing daily, you have 3,398 cars traveling through that crosswalk during the day. So it's really the volume of the conflict point that is of paramount concern to us. Yes, we can and we will continue to work to educate our students, to educate our drivers as far as the safety measures that need to take place. And I'll talk in a minute about some of the advancements as far as warning drivers or high visibility lights, things like that. But anytime you have that volume of students crossing, that volume of cars coming down that road is a potential for something tragic to happen. In essence, we have a street that splits our high school campus. I did pull this is a direct quote from that study. The study gave us a buffet as far as things that we could do to make it safer, but the direct quote is, the most effective means of furthering safety for the school pedestrian movements between campuses is the elimination of conflict points. So there's a lot of things that we could do, but if you want to make it the safest possible, we have to eliminate that volume of student crossing, that volume of cars coming down the road. That is truly how we're going to make it as safe as possible.
And they're defining conflict points as that part of Magnolia Street
Yes.
between the two campuses.
Yes. And I will say, the gentleman, it's been a couple years since they were here, 3 years. I remember distinctly him saying, we do this for a living. This is one of the more challenging studies we've ever done. This is concerning. So in that traffic study that was released in, I believe, February 2024, some of the suggestions they gave us to mitigate the concern. Again, it's not the true elimination of the concern, but some positive steps that we could take and have taken. We've partnered with the town of Mooresville on several of these. We've updated the existing pedestrian flashers. If you've driven down Magnolia, probably, I think that was in the last 6 months, you can see that those are more visible. It has the passive pedestrian detection. So if you walk closely to that crosswalk, it goes ahead and starts to alert with the audible and visual. There was revisions to existing school zone signage. Some of it was outdated, a little bit faded. So we've updated those, added additional. We did install, or the town of Mooresville installed the school pavement markings, as well as no drop-off signage. Of course, like all signage, it's only as good as people adhere to it. That is still a concern of ours. Parents dropping off anywhere in the vicinity of Mooresville High School as they're trying to get out of that car rider line creates a lot of conflict points. We have worked on parent and student education. And then there used to be an additional crosswalk at what I'll call the northern crossing, which was closer to the B-lot entrance. The town of Mooresville eliminated that crosswalk. We still do have students that are going to take the path of least resistance when they come out that door right there and cross. But we have seen a significant volume increase as far as students that are crossing there. So just to give an update on where we are today. So we've had a lot of dialogue internally between the town of Mooresville and Mooresville Graded. We have proposed, and I shared in the board memo, correspondence that we've traded back and forth as far as more formal letters. We would like to have Magnolia Street closed between the B-lot entrance and Cabarrus Avenue during the entire school day. I will have a map up in a minute just for those that are unaware of those areas to show exactly where that closure would happen. I think that we and the town agree that those are the points that make the most sense for closure for pedestrian crosswalk. Our disagreement comes in the timing. The town of Mooresville has proposed using mechanical crossing arms that would be operated by MGSD staff to block traffic only during class change. So I will get into, on the next slide, some of the concerns that we have about their proposal, and then we'll talk about next steps. So our concern, as far as district and school staff and consulting with the high school is, while the large majority of students that cross are going to happen during class change, it is a high school campus. There is student movement throughout the day. So we're going to have classes. For example, a PE class might go down to the football field or ROTC. you might have a student that's in the MAG building, gets called to the front office, a student that was late and needs to get a meal, breakfast or lunch. So students are crossing that crosswalk all day long.
And staff.
And staff as well, absolutely. So the largest volume is going to happen during class change. Our concern, as well as some of those one-offs, a driver sees a large volume of people crossing. When you have one or two people crossing, it is easier for a driver to not detect them, bad weather conditions, poor visibility, things like that. So that puts those students or staff in danger. Like any normal high school, there are schedule changes all the time. You have early release, delays, you've got pep rallies, all the things. So having something that's more an automated system creates a lot of challenges. I think that also creates challenges for our drivers, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but drivers potentially would like predictability. So when we're changing those times consistently, it's open. It was open at this time yesterday, now I come through today, the schedule's changed, it's not open, I'm frustrated because I'm sitting there. So we want to add some consistency to that. One of our major concerns is just around human error of that manual operation. So the town of Mooresville has made it clear that they would help with installation. They would hand that off to us. There would need to be somebody manually controlling that, hitting a button for the arms to come down or up. As one of our public speakers commented about, you've got various class changes throughout the day. You've got 10 to 12 minute increments. You've got lunches. There would have to be a real precision every day. The first time somebody's 2 minutes late because a student stopped them in the hallway and said, hey, can you help me with this? Then they're not out there in time. You've got one side of the crosswalk open, cars are coming through, that creates a lot of challenges. As well as just, we've asked a lot of our high school staff around safety in general. As you know, last year we instituted weapons detection devices at our entrances. So our high school staff is spread thin. I do not have two humans that can be out there every 80 minutes during lunch, every day, consistently to press a button. Also have concern about the distance between the two crossing arms. So coordinating that could possibly take two people pressing buttons to make sure we don't have a car trapped in the middle. There's just a lot of concern around human error for that. And then again, the periodic opening and closing of Magnolia all day long for through traffic, that can create a lot of frustration. I'm of the belief that if citizens that are down Magnolia Fieldstone know that from this time to this time, they cannot get through Magnolia, which I believe a lot of residents already know that and have already found alternate routes, but that makes that more predictable for them. Again, this is a sample schedule. Those closure times are estimates that I put on there, but as you can see, I just wanted to bring to light that you're talking about opening and closing numerous times throughout the day. So you've got your arrival procedure, you've got each of the class blocks, you've got 4 lunch periods. So you're going to be dealing with open, close, somebody going out to manually operate that throughout the day. And then again, my last slide is just a visual. The red line represents, as Dr. Royal mentioned, we did a complete revision of our car rider and bus rider process. Again, with student safety in mind, we're trying to take care of all the things that we can take care of exclusively on our end. So you can see the red line represents that. We've got our car riders coming in through the back and then out at the red light, so that keeps them out of the crosswalk area. The yellow line represents, again, where I think the town, as well as Mooresville Graded, has agreed are the spots that make the most sense to close. The conflict or the disagreement at this point is really around intermittent closing versus a permanent closure. So that is where we are as of today. As you know, the town of Mooresville allocated funds last week for this project with the understanding that they want the intermittent closure. Our district staff and school staff have been adamant that that creates a lot of challenges as opposed to a full day closure. So our last correspondence was a request to do a pilot for a full day closure. So I believe we are at an impasse and a disagreement at this time, but I would welcome any questions that board has or comments at this time.
So I think
I was just going to say, I'll open it up. You'd like to speak?
Thank you. So I think, and I think Ms. Donaldson talked about it. So what is the difference of the minutes per, based on the intermittent and closing, 12 minutes, I think it was in between versus the full day close? What was the difference? I think, was it 204 and 408? Is that?
Yeah, I don't have the
Right.
exact numbers, but you're talking about 40 to 50% of the school day. It's
Okay.
going to be closed either way.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, when you said that there are 4,700 student crossings a day, that's not 4,000 students. We don't have that many kids at the high
Right.
school. That is kids walking back and forth multiple
Yep.
times, staff walking back and forth multiple times. So no, we don't have that many children. But also, I think, we've tried different things. If we have a lot of students taking classes at Mitchell or working or don't have all of the blocks, they do not park in the B lot, which is the one next to MAG. So they are not crossing the street back and forth. Yes. They have to park over on the other side. So we've tried a lot of things to mitigate this, but basically all we have asked for is for the town board to sit and meet with us so that we can discuss this in person. And we have not asked for funds or anything. That's what we are asking for, the board to meet with us.
And I think when you look at it, I think you touched on it. I mean, no amount of money can, or no value of a dollar bill can go for a tragedy that can happen. Personally, when we've talked about it as a board, but we have right down the road here a social district that's closed off. Mm-hmm. And so when we start to talk about some of the variations that go value for value, or however you can compromise based on alcohol versus education and students, it don't balance the beam for me. And so, like, if we can go through the process for a social district, and don't get me wrong, I think entertainment in downtown is huge, but also education and safety is huge. And so when we think about the two, why can't we come to an agreement on the same process we did there, doing it for the kids throughout the school day? And I would also like to know the process, because I think in our correspondence there's been some back and forth on here's the process, this is what we ask you to do, but I would like to see the process for other things such as food trucks and also social districts.
Dr. Gardner, what was the date of our last letter to the town requesting the pilot program?
I believe our last official correspondence was after our June work session. So it would have been July 1, I believe, is when I sent the letter.
So I want to say that we've received no response from the town of Mooresville. An offer for money is not a response. They addressed absolutely not one thing in the letter that we asked them in their proposal. Unfortunately, the people that need to hear this are not here. We're speaking into the great void like I feel like I've been doing now for almost 10 years on the board. This is a conversation that I've had with multiple commissioners. Consistently, one of those commissioners has supported us for almost 10 years in wanting to do this. He's been on the board for that long. They've had some change in leadership. I do feel like we have two commissioners that are willing to listen and recognize that the school knows what we need for safety, and they understand that the town needs to be responsible for helping provide that safety to our students and our staff. But we can't get the other ones to just listen to us. They are unfortunately, for whatever reason, not willing to have a conversation with us. Like Ms. Bender said, we're just simply asking for them to come to the table. So, we can do all those things that you talked about. We put the signs up about, not parking or not letting people off. But, in reality, the police are the ones to enforce that. Our SROs are where they need to be. They're inside the schools. But there are other officers that could help enforce traffic out there, and they don't most of the time. So it's time for everybody. I think this board is willing. We'd close the road tomorrow if we could. We recognize what's going on. I'll just speak from my perspective. I'm out there and have been for a really long time, and have been since we made the adjustments to the traffic pattern. They're working, but we still need a full closure of that road. We just need the town board to agree to meet with us. We need to hash this out, and they're not answering us. It's time to have an adult conversation around a table and figure out what's best for the children. Again, I do feel like we have some support from some of the town commissioners, but if quite a few of them, for whatever reason, personal or whatever, are not willing to have a conversation about this.
I agree. I am extremely disappointed that we are at this point this far. 2009 is when we merged those two campuses. This has been discussed since that time. And of course, there have been changes on this board, there have been changes on the town board. But when you are asked to meet, just to meet to talk, and you won't do that, you're abdicating your responsibility as an elected official. And it is time for us to sit down and put on our big girl panties and discuss what is best for the safety of children. The two things that they are now talking about is the response of emergency responders, which has been pointed out. We have closures for months all over town. We have closures on Main Street, regularly. I live on Magnolia Street. It's easy to go around the area that we're talking about. Because Center Street has been closed, I don't even think about going down Center Street anymore. It's not hard to do that. And I would think as an emergency responder, it's better to have a predictable route than to come one way to find that, oh yeah, the gates are down. And as has been pointed out, anytime you've got technology involved, it's going to fail. I also, as far as the residents, there is one commissioner who has routinely said that he was just bombarded with people in our neighborhood who did not want to see it closed. Well, it's just the opposite in my conversations with people, and I have reached out to numerous people, not just along Magnolia Street, all of whom have said that they support closing it during this time. Finally, I personally know what happens when elected officials and the people who have the power of the purse and to make real change, when they fail to do their duty, tragedies happen. And we have known that this is something that is dangerous. It is something that we can deal with in a way that comes close to guaranteeing safety. Nothing is ever going to be foolproof. But when you have professional safety people who say, we need to close this section, that's what needs to happen. But, you could try this, you could try that. Well, in the meantime, what are we going to wait for? Someone to get hurt? That's inconceivable. And I think it's irresponsible. And if our town commissioners do not see that, shame on them.
And I want to kind of touch on hearing you say it. We have come close to shutting the road a couple of times. Mm-hmm. We came close to the day before, put a sign out and we're ready to do it. And for whatever reason, one more time, somebody wanted to go against their own safety professionals and the town's recommendations and change it. So again, it's time to have this conversation as a group. We've met multiple times and we seem to come to some kind of agreement, and one commissioner or two commissioners want to change that for whatever reason that can't seem to be explained to, I believe, any of us. So it's time to meet. I think that's the only resolution to this, and I hope that we can potentially extend an invitation to them to meet. And I think that invitation should go to every single one of them. I don't want it to get lost in administration. I don't want it to get lost by someone else not forwarding an email to them. I want every one of them to get the email, and I want them to be invited to it and have to respond as to whether they're ready or not to come have a real conversation about the safety of these kids at this campus.
And I just want to add that I have seen a lot of comments online about these are high schoolers. They should know better than to not cross at this time or use a crosswalk. They are children. They are still children in our schools. And we, as the adults in the room, it is our job to protect those children. The same way we would stop a kindergartner from running across the street, we have to use that same mentality with the kids at the high school. Whether they are, 2 feet taller than me or have a full beard, they are still children. And it is our job to protect all of our students and all of our staff.
And I would say as well, I know myself, I'm sure Ms. Graham, I know Ms. Graham as well, has seen very close encounters when kids were absolutely doing the right thing. They were in the crosswalk, the crossing guard was there. I've watched people, again, we could sit here and there's plenty of blame to go around. We've had students do the wrong thing. I've had people yell and curse, screaming out the window, blowing their horn. The root issue is the potential for conflict between the pedestrian and the driver. And we don't have to look that far away. In the past 15 years, the town of Davidson had a tragedy with a college professor using the crosswalk the correct way. It was low visibility, the driver could not see. So we don't have to talk in theory. You know, we had a crossing guard at Mount Morton IB school, low visibility, that's a tragedy. So we have close to 5,000 students crossing. The odds of something like that happening that we have seen happen in our communities before is high. So it is our opportunity and our obligation to eliminate that conflict and keep our students safe.
And we're talking about accidents of crossing. We're not talking about, God forbid, somebody having really bad intent to harm our children on purpose. We hadn't even touched on that yet, right? Somebody just to drive by and want to harm kids. So we're talking about accidents without bad intent. But most certainly to close that campus to somebody that has an idea of harming our children on purpose, it's got to be at the forefront of our minds. We're doing all we can. We need their help.
Yeah.
And we need folks, parents, students to reach out.
Yeah.
Let them know that safety should come first.
Agreed. And while there are certainly other options out there, like building a new high school, I don't think that makes financial sense. Like, we have a strong investment in Mooresville High School, a strong tradition there. It's a unique situation. I think municipalities are faced with unique situations across North Carolina and across the country. This is an opportunity for us to be on the right side of history with this. So hopefully we can get some action. So
It's a decision, though. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, we're not talking about something that's going to take an enormous amount of time. It's a decision to make the right decision for kids, point blank.
It's a simple decision. It's safety versus social. We're not asking for the whole day. We're asking for a moment in time. The statistical data supports that. Human nature supports that. Our love for children supports that. Human error on both sides, whether by student or by driver, support that.
Yeah.
Allocation of resources support that. And I hate to use those terms, conflict points. It's not a conflict point. It's an injury. It's a human life. You know, it's not just a number. It's a person. This is personal. I will tell you, I'm encouraged by, and I would commend us to continue our dogged pursuit of this issue, but I am discouraged by the fact that we have been really pushing this issue with the other powers that be, and to send out a letter back in as early as January, and then in March, and get absolutely no response, nothing whatsoever until June, is extremely discouraging. But small increments, I believe that we still need to keep our eye on the prize, and that is our children's safety over any other thing. And that seems to be a very just a simple decision. Just like you said, it's not really a decision to make.
It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer, exactly. So I would encourage us as well as the community to push this issue, because we're talking about children's safety. Nobody's gaining an advantage on this board by pursuing this other than to ensure that our children are protected when they're in school and that they're not exposed. It only takes a second of inattentiveness on both parties for there to be tragedy. So I thank each one of my colleagues for their comments, for Dr. Gardner, Dr. Royals' attempts to be, again, dogged in their pursuit with the town to rectify this potential tragic situation and encourage us to continue to push forward with what we think is important, which are those kids.
Yep.
Thank
Nope.
you, guys.
And I will say, I appreciate I've had constant collaboration, communication with the town manager. We've had a lot of conversation. I think what I hear from you all, and I would agree with, you've got two boards. You've got different opinions on each board. We have tried small groups as well. One or two of our board members, one or two of theirs. Again, town manager and myself have had a lot of conversation trying to solve this. I believe what I hear from you all, don't want to put words in your mouth, is getting all the players in the room together to have a joint meeting, to really try to solve this problem, not leave the room till we have a solution everybody can agree to. We're all adults, and we were put in these positions because people believed in us to make the right decisions, and I think it's time to do that.
The right decision is not comfortable sometimes, but you have to do it. So.
And you can't put a price tag on it either. So I agree that we have to sit down and just come to an agreement on it.
Right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Gardner. Thank you, Dr. Roy.
Yep.
Okay, Dr. Gardner, items for approval.
Yes, sir. Next up, we have our consolidated federal programs plan with Dr. Wade and Ms. Conley back up to the mic.
All right, good evening again. So tonight, along with Mr. Ribick and Dr. Wade, we will be presenting the 26-27 consolidated federal programs. In your board packet, you'll be able to see we'll be going through Title I, Title II, Title III, and Title IV. So we'll start with Title I. Title I is, as you can see in your packet, but it is designed to ensure that students experiencing economic disadvantage have equitable access to high quality instruction and additional supports to be successful during the school year. So who we're serving will be continuing to serve our 4 MGSD Title I schools, South, Parkview, East, and Mooresville Intermediate, and East Mooresville Intermediate. All 4 schools exceed the 40% poverty threshold required for that school-wide support model. Collectively, these schools serve approximately 1,110 of our economically disadvantaged students. So with the school-wide Title I full funds, we provide those funds at each of those 4 schools. So some of the ways that we are providing funds for those Title I schools, we have certified intervention specialists who provide support during core instruction, but also during our ERI blocks, which is the enrichment, intervention, and remediation time. We also are providing small group reading and math tutors at those schools for students needing supplemental or intensive instruction during the ERI block. At our intermediate schools, East and Mooresville Intermediate, we are also supporting with full-time behavior. We're asking to move from part-time to full-time behavior interventionists, recognizing that academic success is closely connected to students' behavior, social, and emotional needs. Finally, some of those funds at the school level are also provided for providing subs at the schools so that our teachers can have collaboration time to plan and analyze at student data as well. At the district level, we are looking to use those federal funds to support those 4 schools that I mentioned. The areas that we're hoping to support this year, specifically looking at K-3 math support, not only K-3, but really looking at the 2nd to 3rd grade transition. That is one area that we have looked at with our data for the past couple of years. So we're looking at providing some intensive support specifically on those grade levels. We're also hoping to fund a part-time dual immersion instructional specialist, which will be supporting our multilingual and newcomer students, and specifically our Spanish dual immersion teachers. We brought on 6 dual immersion Spanish teachers this year just at the elementary, and one thing that our schools have struggled some is being able to support. Our instructional coaches are great, our administrators are great, but they are not fluent in Spanish. And so we are looking for a bilingual person, a part-time, that would be able to support those Spanish teachers and helping them learn, our intervention programs, our core curricular programs, but then also, again, supporting our students in providing Spanish interventions during the school year. Finally, you can see that, again, the funds allotted to schools with our carryover would be $680,178.56. So I am going to pass it on to Mr. Ribick to talk about Title II, and then let us know if you have any questions at the end.
Okay. Our Title II funds are designed to develop, implement, and evaluate comprehensive programs and activities to address the learning needs of all students through effective instruction. So what we're planning on using our Title II funds this year would be for supporting teachers who are not fully licensed and or hard to fill roles by covering their license fees, to help with our provide national board certification programs, to provide financial assistance for renewal fees for that. We are able to offer tuition reimbursement for staff who are pursuing advanced degrees. We are providing professional development for our teachers throughout the year. We have curriculum and instructional workshops, planning and curriculum writing, school improvement planning, and then as we talked about before, you're going to hear later about our mentoring program. Our Title II funds help support that, and they help support leadership development. And this year, This year, we're looking at Title II funds being at $153,175. And those are able to be used throughout the district. We don't just have to use those at our Title I identified schools. We use these funds for, like I said, throughout the district for all of our staff.
Okay, that number's different from, this says 173,669.
Oh, I have one. Oh, I had the last year's one. Yours is correct on there.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Hello again. I'm here to talk about Title III, which are the federal funds we receive to support our multilingual learner program. We are going to continue along the same track that we've been using for the past few years because it is working. Dr. Gardner shared some data at Convocation that our district ML growth over the last 3 years has gone from an index of 0.87 up to 3.44, which was the last reported year that we have. We don't have this year's data yet. And that we have continued to maintain a greater than 95% graduation rate for our multilingual learners. So we are seeing a lot of the investment of these funds paying off for our students. And so we are not looking to make large shifts in that strategy. However, we are planning to add a few things this year. You heard Ms. Conley mention that they are looking for a dual immersion teacher to support the Spanish teachers. We have discovered that there is a strong need among our English dual immersion teachers because they are experts in their pedagogy but are not experts in second language acquisition. And so we will be using some of that money to contract with one of our ML specialists to support those English language dual immersion teachers in scaffolding strategies for those newcomers, because we place the majority of our K-5 students who are native Spanish speakers in dual immersion, which is the best practice. We want to make sure that not only to that 50% Spanish instruction, but they are getting that highly scaffolded instruction in English as well on their alternate day instruction. So that is a new piece that we are adding in. We also have a focus this year on exiting some of our what are called long-term ELs, which are students who have been here for longer than 7 years and are still in the ML program. Typical language acquisition for students to become fluent in academic English is between 5 to 7 years. So students who have been here 7 years or longer are really kind of behind that pace. And so we are implementing a new progress monitoring piece this year and using some different resources to kind of switch out some of the ones that we've been using that are focused more on helping those long-term ELs be able to exit out of our ML program through the access score or a new process called multiple measure tool. That will allow our multilingual teachers to have smaller caseloads and be able to focus more on the newcomers as well. And so those are some of the initiatives that we have happening in the Title III land. We do also use a significant chunk of that to purchase our multilingual learner platform and strategies, which is on-demand PD for our teachers who have clusters of MLs, as well as our dual immersion teachers, and particularly at secondary, where our teachers may have 1 ML or 2 MLs in their classroom and don't have a push-in service from the ML teacher. So our Title III allotment this year is $41,675, And more than 75% of that will be going to instructional resources and curricular programs that will directly support the MLs in increasing their achievement. The rest of that is allotted for the stipends to cover the teachers who complete the PD, as well as the dual immersion liaison.
Can you, the long-term multi-language
Yes.
learners,
Yes.
are they continuing to qualify for the service based solely, right now, based solely on the access test?
Currently, we are not providing significant amounts of service to those students because we have so many newcomer students. So we are governed by what's called an LIEP, which is our menu of services that has to be approved by the state every year. And in that, we devote the majority of our service time to the students who are in the first 2 years, and then there's a phased approach for years 3 through 4, and it's really more tied to their access score. So I'm using those terms in generality. And then our long-term MLs are typically students who, when you look at them, you might not even realize that they are a multilingual learner. In many cases, it's that they don't want to take the access test, and they are not producing the effort, and they don't care that they have to take the test. So some of that has been conversations that we've been having with students to help them understand, like, I know you don't want to take this. It's a hard test. Honestly, I'm not sure that the majority of our English-speaking students could pass at the high school expectation, particularly on the writing portion. It is very difficult, but if they would sit down perhaps and take it seriously, then they can exit, and then they won't have to keep taking it. What we're focusing on with the long-term MLs are those students who have stagnated in one particular domain. So it tests in writing, listening, speaking, and reading. Our lowest scores are the writing and the speaking, and that's because they both require heavy amounts of academic language, which a lot of our students, ML or otherwise, and yes, the phones, struggle with. Those are also the two that are easiest to use translation device. So they've gotten really good at not having to develop those because they can use the technology to embed.
Okay, lastly, we have Title IV. So Title IV supports 3 broad areas: well-rounded education, safe and healthy students, and effective use of technology. In MJSD, the past couple of years, we have out of those 3 buckets, we have really focused on the safe and healthy students. So primarily, our focus is that safety, wellness, and behavioral support. Our Title IV funds support our part of the salary of our Director of School Safety and Wellness. So as you know, some of his roles include the social emotional wellness, conflict resolution, school safety, and behavioral support systems for the students in all of our schools. Again, as Mr. Ribick discussed earlier, Title I is just the 4 schools, but then Title II, Title III, and Title IV support all of our schools. So that is a total of $50,913 that we receive for Title IV funds. So at this time, before I ask for your approval, we wanted to know if there are any other questions about any of the title budgets.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a recommendation to approve the 2026-27 Consolidated Federal Program Plan, which is consistent with our strategic plan in alignment. Title I, amount of $680,178.56. Title II, $173,669. Title III, $41,675, and Title IV, $50,913. That request is as presented. I will entertain a motion.
So move.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. You go ahead. You
Go
got
ahead,
it.
Carrie. Ladies
No,
first.
I
Ladies
move
first.
that we accept the program's plan as presented.
Can I have a second?
I second it.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, next up, we have our beginning teacher support plan, and we'll have Ms. Kuhn and Ms. Bussell.
Good evening again. All right. technology. It's always a
Yeah.
good time.
What are we talking about?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Gardner. I'm excited to present the beginning teacher support plan for your approval. We're seeking your approval for this plan tonight. This plan is designed to scale district-wide support for our teachers. Every 5 years, the Department of Public Instruction requires that the local boards of education approve a plan. And during this presentation, we're going to give you a picture of our who our new teachers are, provide opportunities for you to see that, information about what's went very well over the past few years. And then it also gives us a time to reflect on what improvements we can make. I am excited that I have the opportunity to have Ms. Bussell here to give you kind of the meat and potatoes of this plan, and we are happy to answer any questions that you would have during or at the end. All right, I'll turn it over to Ms. Bussell.
All right. Hi, Mr. Whitfield, Dr. Gardner, members of the board. Thank you so much for having me. I know it's been a long night, so I'll try to talk quickly. But I do want to start by just explaining that our MGSD BT program falls under the Recruit, Grow, and Retain priority area for the MGSD strategic plan. It's the goal of our BT program that we are influencing students in a positive manner through the recruitment, growth, and retention of our best and brightest staff. Before we get started into the plan, I did want to share a bit of our BT data with you. So this chart here shows our average yearly numbers of beginning teachers and mentors since I began this role in spring of 2024. On average, we're serving around 64 BTs yearly and 56 mentors yearly. This year for 26-27, we have 52 beginning teachers as of today and 50 mentors. A few mentors are serving more than one BT. You'll notice that our highest numbers of BTs are in the 25-26 school year. That does matter for some additional data I'm going to give you in a moment. This is a breakdown of our beginning teachers and their categories. So you'll see that there are 6 categories, and we see traditionally licensed individuals labeled BT 1, 2, and 3. And then alternatively licensed teachers are labeled BT 1, 2, 3 alt license. Anyone alternatively licensed includes people who did not complete a traditional educator preparatory program, which I will refer to as EPP throughout our presentation. Those within the alternatively licensed categories either hold a permit to teach, an emergency license, or are currently residential candidates in an EPP. In reviewing this data, I chose to include the 23-24 numbers simply for transparency. I did begin my role in spring of 24. At that time, we were only tracking by BT 1, 2, 3, regardless of licensure type. Since then, we're trying to be a bit more detailed in our tracking. I would encourage you to focus on the data starting in 24-25 school year and beyond as we move forward. As you can see in our breakdown, the 25-26 school year is when we graduated our largest BT3 class, and that includes both traditionally and alternatively licensed individuals. So last spring, we graduated nearly 30% of our BT program. Our numbers look much smaller this year. It is noticeable here that the number of alternatively licensed individuals has slowly declined. While we very much love and appreciate our alternatively licensed educators, this data point is an area of excitement for the field of public education, as it's noticed by many of our hiring managers, our principals particularly, that this spring and summer there has been an uptick in traditionally and already licensed candidates applying for our jobs. And this shows us that more individuals are aiming to enter the field of education earlier in their careers. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but seeing that slowly happen is very exciting for us. I'm not specified here, and I thought just for point for you to know is that our CTE teachers who do not actually hold educational degrees, they may still be labeled traditionally licensed because the way the state identifies CTE teachers is based on their years of experience. So depending on what role they carry, they might be identified as traditionally licensed, even though they really are living an existence much more like our alternatively licensed candidates. All of that to say, I really wanted to share with you our BT retention data thus far. I am only including this for transparency's sake. It actually does not impact our BT support plan that we're working for approval tonight. The retention rates, reflect the years below that you see reflect the year following. So what you would notice is anything you see in the 25, 26 years, those columns at the far right, are actually indicating the retainment of teachers in this current school year, 26, 27. I know that can be a little confusing, so I just want to share with you the numbers and give you some of my takeaways from what I see here. Although the 25-26 retention rates may appear lower, it's important to note again that that was our highest number of beginning teachers that we've had in the past 4 years. So more people, based on my math understanding, equals a higher likelihood of people leaving. So I wasn't necessarily surprised to see a change in those numbers. The main point of concern I see is a drop in BT2 retention from last year into this year. That wasn't, when I reviewed the individual data, there weren't any overwhelming trends as to why that happened. We saw pretty traditional things like family obligations, people moving out of the field of education, out of the state. But in general, everything I'm going to share with you in our plan, just please know that we are doing our best to find our ways that we can best support those teachers, as all of our teachers, and encourage them to stick with education for the long term. The dip in retention is also visible for alternatively licensed individuals for a variety of reasons. Alternatively licensed folks are labeled years 1, 2, and 3. Those are grouped together on this chart. So if you're looking at that far right column, the dark gray, that indicates all years 1, 2, and 3 alternatively licensed candidates. The reality is the individuals coming in that are alternatively licensed are facing unique challenges. They are not all necessarily readily equipped when they enter the classroom. And for many of them who are natural educators, there is still a path of resistance that they're facing. They are then coming in not just as brand new to the classroom, but they are committing to additional schooling and money that comes out of their pockets. And while we do offer tuition reimbursement for our teachers, it doesn't necessarily cover the fullness of what they're being asked to spend in order to clear an education license. Between the stress and overwhelm of being new educators and making very little money and going back to college while they're also actively teaching and many of them parenting and living outside of school, it can be too much for many of them. And so unfortunately, we are seeing after that first year in which many of them are under a permit to teach, they're going into their second year under their emergency license. After that, it's called emergency year for a reason. We don't have any options for their year 3. So we are seeing a drop after year 2 for individuals who are not fully committed for whatever reason to finalizing their licensure. We are continuing to assess how we can best support these individuals, and we know that they're facing an uphill battle. We are constantly assessing changes. We're going to share some about that in a moment to maintain high retention rates. Specifically, we're focusing on recruitment strategies, just making sure that we are pulling in as many traditionally licensed candidates as possible because we know that they have higher retention numbers. Focusing on our BT programming to make sure that we're meeting the expectations of the state as well as balancing our expectations for their real lives. And then always assessing our BT and mentor pairings. Our principals are terrific in communicating with me and just trying to make sure that we are pairing them appropriately for their needs. So this is just a very limited view. I would encourage you to know that the longer we track this information, the more realistic picture we will have. All right, so really why we are here is to talk about our beginning teacher support plan. We are seeking approval of our updated MGSD beginning teacher support plan, and so I'll share that with you now. According to NCDPI, anytime state policy changes, it's required that MGSD updates our BTSP to reflect current policy. All of the changes that you'll see on the screen here and that were provided to you in advance have been updated in our policy. The good news is both of these things we've already been doing. So it is formally written in our policy now, but we have already been doing both of them. The required recent graduate survey is a new state incentive to track the success of educator preparatory programs. Although it wasn't previously noted for us, we were distributing as appropriately that survey and sending out necessary reminders to ask beginning teachers and administrators to complete the survey that DPI would like to see completed.
Do we have a good response rate?
They don't necessarily provide that information for us. It's really intended to identify the success of the EPPs in our state, and so it has very little to do with us. They do often send us updates on, hey, we have not heard from a list of individuals, to which we then push that data out. Okay. We don't get any other percentage. Yeah, we should, hopefully, moving into this year. For the past 3 years, in point 2 there, you'll see that MGSD has included all alternatively licensed individuals in our BT support program. That is now a requirement from the state, but as mentioned, we have been doing that already. I do want to highlight, since we are approving our beginning teacher support plan, I do need to highlight 7 key areas for you. And again, I will try to make that quick. Number 1, we've already discussed, is identification. All classroom teachers within their first 3 years of teaching, regardless of licensure type, are included in our BT support program. This is reflected in our plan in more detail, and I'm happy to answer questions about that later if you have any. Second is our induction, or as we often in Mooresville call it, our orientation. Those words are typically used interchangeably. MGSD has a thorough new employee orientation process that we spoke about earlier tonight. It includes academic content, district mission and vision, district level information, and a solid introduction to our district culture. Our teachers specifically receive school level orientation as well, in which it addresses logistics such as where to park and where the adult bathroom is, and introduces them to the necessary academic and digital resources they need. Beginning teachers also receive orientation through an introductory session with our BT support program. We actually held those meetings throughout the day yesterday and had that was well attended by our beginning teachers and mentors. Through that time, we share with them our BTSP as well as how we put that into action throughout the school year. Policy specifically says that we should be providing orientation to all beginning teachers within the first 2 weeks of their start date. For the most part, MGSD is doing that well with our summer orientation. We are now, though, actively conducting research regarding the orientation of beginning teachers who are hired after the start of the school year. We currently offer orientation in the summer before the start of school, which meets that 2-week expectation. We also offer a mid-year orientation at the beginning of January, but that is not necessarily meeting all of our needs for beginning teachers. So we are actively in review for that process in MGSD. Next is our mentor support. Mentors are chosen in collaboration of multiple stakeholders. Our school administrators are ultimately responsible for assigning mentors to beginning teachers, but they do often ask multiple stakeholders their opinions when making those decisions. The primary focus of mentors is to improve instructional performance and provide adequate emotional support for beginning teachers. To help them do that, they are receiving professional development in a few ways. First is through the 21st Century Mentor Training modules. All mentors are expected to complete those modules through NESIS one time. After they've completed them one time, then they continue to do professional development with our BT support program. We are excited to be expanding those opportunities for mentors this year by including counseling staff and instructional coaches because we are focusing on counseling strategies and instructional coaching strategies for our beginning teacher mentors. Number 4 are district responsibilities. We do have some distinct responsibilities at the district and school level. Specifically, mentors should be assigned early and with intentionality. It is also the hope that our mentors are receiving at least an accomplished rating on their NESIS evaluations. Sometimes our mentors maybe are not meeting certain criteria, the state does have allowances for that within state policy. Beginning teachers are also expected to have limited preparations. Their class makeup should be closely considered, and they are not required to participate in any extracurricular activities outside of their assigned daily duties. Number 5 is our BT development. BTs are offered extensive professional development opportunities. Specifically through our BT support program, we do provide choice and voice as BTs are allowed to choose from multiple options regarding different topics, different times, and locations throughout the district. Our MGSD curriculum and instruction team is fantastic in providing district professional development days each semester and also encouraging PD at the school level as well. So our BTs are being absolutely bathed in professional development. Additional PD opportunities are shared with BTs throughout the year as they become available both in district and out of district. As mentioned earlier, we are trying our best to meet policy requirements, as well as providing extensive professional development for new educators. It is crucial, however, that we are also maintaining a balance of expectations and reality. This year, beginning teachers will be able to utilize their EPP coursework, graduate work, etc. Any professional development they choose to receive outside of MGSD can potentially count as part of their MGSD PD requirements as a beginning teacher. BTs are expected to meet consistently with their mentors, and that time is documented and submitted for accountability throughout the year. Next is our assessment portion. BTs are expected to receive NESIS evaluations as mandated by state policy. District leadership distributes those expectations and provides accountability that this is being done appropriately. And last, the state requests that we give information on file security. So per state policy, our BTSP includes information on file security and data tracking. We utilize multiple platforms to keep up with our BT information, such as Link, Lysol, NESIS, Google Suite, etc. These are just a few highlights of our BT support plan. More can be found in detail in the plan itself, which was previously provided to the board. Attached to the plan is an addendum with specific information for the current school year if you're interested in seeing what we're doing this year. That includes our PD plans for both mentors, beginning teachers, as well as templates for our extracurricular waiver, the BT mentor participation agreements, and our record of reason. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for your time. Do you have any questions?
Any questions, guys?
Not questions. I just compliment the work that you do, the HR team. It pays dividends when you bring in quantity and quality staff together. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
When you're walking in the community and you don't hear, oh, she's new, or oh, they're new,
Yeah.
a whole lot, you know something's working. So you're doing a great job. Thank you very much.
For sure. Thank you, guys.
You touched on my question. It was going to be about beginning teachers that start throughout the year getting this support. So thank you for thinking of that. And I read the plan. It's very thorough, and I really enjoyed reading it. So thank you. Thank you for all the work you're doing.
It's that hard work that makes
Thank you.
their experience a good one too, that allows us to have those numbers that you presented to us. So congratulations. And
Thank you.
Absolutely.
thank you to the leadership in those schools.
Thank you.
With that, we have a recommendation to approve the beginning teacher support plan as presented. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I move that we accept the beginning teacher program as presented.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the beginning teacher support plan as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have a few field trips for approval. With Mr. Rivik.
Thank you, Chairman Whitfield, Dr. Gardner, members of the board. I do have 3 field trips that I'm asking your approval for. Mooresville High School is requesting permission for their band field trips. One is to Coastal Carolina University from October 10th through the 11th to compete in an annual marching band competition. The cost per student is an estimated to be $75 with 190 students attending. The band will also be traveling to Universal Studios, Florida from March 6th through the 9th. to participate in sound design workshop for instrumentalists and dance. It is a universal masterclass for color guard members. The cost per student is estimated to be around $1,085 with 150 students attending. And Mooresville Middle School is requesting permission to travel to Washington, D.C. on March 17th through the 19th. This annual trip is part of the History Club, which provides students the opportunity to visit historical sites, museums, and monuments important to U.S. history. There will be 35 to 40 students in attendance with 4 chaperones and 5 parent chaperones. And the cost of this trip is about $650 per student. And we are asking for these trips to be approved as presented.
Okay, we have a recommendation to approve the field trips, 2 by Mooresville High School Band, 1 trip to Coastal Carolina, October 10th through the 11th, 2026. Per student cost is estimated to be $75, and a total of 190 students plan to be in attendance. Another trip with the Mooresville High School Band is to Universal Studios, Florida, March 6th through the 9th, 2027, to participate in a sound design workshop for instrumentals and dance at Universal Master Class and Color Guard members. And that will be approximately $1,085 and 150 students in attendance. And then lastly, there is a middle school request for the annual History Club, which will travel to Washington, D.C., March 17th through 19th, 2027, approximately 35 to 40 students, at a cost of $650 per student. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Can I ask a question before we vote?
Certainly.
I just would like to clarify, will there be fundraising opportunities
Yes,
for these trips?
always for those.
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I move we approve the trips as presented.
Do I hear a second?
If I can get, I'm just kidding.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the field trips as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, it's now come that time in the meeting that pursuant to NC General Statute 143-318, Subpart 11A1, 3, 5, and 6, that we go into closed session to discuss with our board attorney personnel issues and other legal matters. And I will entertain a motion to enter a closed session.
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
All those opposed? Now, no further business. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So,
Okay. I got a second?
second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. It is 9, what do you have, 13?
9:10. I got 9:10.
9:10.